Welcome to 13 Minutes of Gig News in 13 minutes or less. All right, guys, it's a coin toss here on the top story, even though the top story is probably the one I'm going to do second. I've talked about it a couple times this week, but so what I'm going to start with for the top story today, excuse me, I kicked the camera there, is Instacart. Okay, this is a long time coming. Instacart IPO, and they've been trying to IPO since I think their initial public offering was supposed to be in 2021 was what they were shooting for. It is not. We're not just talking about, hey, they're talking about it again. They're talking about next month, September, going public. Now, let's run through a little bit of the history because it's shocking to me. I know they have a couple of things going for them that I'll say at the end here, but I'm really shocked. So in 2021, when they first wanted to go public, they had their valuation done, and Instacart was valued at $39 billion. Okay? They did not go public. In early 2022, the valuation had dropped to $24 billion. They did not go public. And by the end of 2022, their valuation had gone to $13 billion. So from 39 to 13 billion in the course of about 16 months. Okay? And then in April of 2023, their valuation was 10 billion. And now it's not exact, but they're somewhere between 5 and 8 billion. Are you guys seeing a pattern? Because in the course of under 2 years? In the course of under 2 years, their initial valuation was 39 billion, and now they're down to 5 to 8 billion, and they still haven't gone public. But they're going to go public. So now Instacart is handling all SNAP and EBT payment options. So they are handling all of the SNAP in all 50 states. It's the first time any company or anything has ever had their hand in all 50 states and been playing a major role. So maybe this is part of why they're going public. I know they have the Caper Cart too, but that thing is actually the second version of the Instacart Smart Cart is the Caper Cart, and it's not even perfect. And it still has, I guess it has some technology, but really it's just able to scan barcodes as you toss things in. It's not huge technology. It's just a space that you would expect Instacart to go forward with. I find this a little bit funny because it comes at a time when Instacart, like here in Colorado, Kroger is killing Instacart, and they're killing them off quick. They've got 24-foot moving trucks or box trucks that are kind of rounded. They're refrigeration trucks, and there's fleets of them out there. For $7, you can have same day by 8 o'clock delivery from Kroger, all of your groceries at in-store prices. And for $5, you can have it within an hour. So what did Instacart do? They took their minimum pay of $7, which already had dropped. We know it was higher than that before. And now it's $4. Now it's a $4. Why did they do that? I can tell you here in Colorado why it makes sense, because why would you use Instacart that uses inflated prices on all of the items over Kroger that's going to give you the in-store prices? You don't have to sign up. There's no annual fee. There's nothing. You just decide, hey man, I want to get it through Kroger directly instead. Okay, so now you get in-store prices, and you get it, if you want it in an hour, you get it for $7. $5 if you need it by 7 or 8 p.m. To me, it's a no-brainer. And they've got fleets of these trucks out there. And I see less and less on the Instacart orders, even though they're never good in my market anyway. So the other big story is Minneapolis. We've talked about this before, but Uber and Lyft a few months back faced a big challenge. That they were going to have to make everybody a minimum wage, to get around that employment actual W-2 classification. They were going to have to provide some health benefits, right, to wrongful deactivations, to challenge, and they were going to come up with $1.40 a mile, 25 cents a minute. As much as I love this, and as much as, like, Sergio's pointed out to me, like, well, Steve, you would take that if it was in your market. Absolutely, I would. I'm not going to send back money to Uber and Lyft. No, I'm not crazy. However, I am a fan of making sure that the gig drivers are taken care of in all aspects. However, I don't believe in the dollar amount. I believe in I do like, as long as there was not anything funky behind the scenes going on, I do like what the push was here, which we talked about at the town hall. Stephanie's push for legislation that got shot down never had a dollar amount tied to it. It just had the right to challenge wrongful deactivations, complete transparency for the drivers before they accept an order. I mean, every detail, no more hidden anything on any of the apps, and complete transparency to the customers to see exactly what they're paying for in a line item breakdown. So those were some of the bigger things there. But to be honest, in that legislation, there was nothing about this much a mile, this much a minute. I don't know how long that kind of stuff can work, and I honestly do believe that will become a floor meets ceiling. So that becomes almost like, look at the number. Is that what you want to make per hour? Because in my mind, that is what you'll make per hour. You're not going to make more than that anymore. You're not going to be able to work the harder shifts or the more busy shifts or give up your weekend nights because you want to make more money. And to me, like, coming from the bar industry, that's just part of the game. Like, I gave up all my Friday and Saturday nights because to work those was the same as working 3 weeknights. So of course I wanted Friday and Saturday shifts, make bank, so there was the same thing with rideshare back in the day. New York City is also now the world's first city to give a mandate on EVs, electric vehicles. So by 2030, all rideshare vehicles in the city of New York, so all Uber and Lyft if they're still around, but all Uber and Lyft, if they're still around, have to be electric by 2030. Put in the comments what you guys think of that, because all I can think of when I say that is how many times have Uber and Lyft promised, especially to New York City, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do for food delivery. We're going to give you this. We're going to give you that. But when the day or two comes before it goes into effect, what do? They challenge it. They take it to court. They get it thrown out, and they never follow through on it. So how many people are actually believing they're going to be 100% EV? Especially with a gap like that. To me, it's like 2030 seems way too soon to push the companies to do that. But I also know what'll happen. They're not going to get in any trouble. They're going to challenge it, and they're going to say, hey, we've made some progress. Here's a bunch of money. The biggest thing Uber does that we should all know is Uber just takes briefcases of money and throws it at problems. And then if it doesn't solve it, they take another briefcase of money and they throw it at the same problem. They keep doing it until the problem goes away. That's what they do. Remember, all these articles and more can be found at ridesharerodeo.com. That is the only place to get true news. It is reaggregated from all over the place, so you guys can read about it, but then you can also kind of get an understanding of some of the things we talk about here. But also, there's a ton on there that I don't even talk about that I just post. It gets posted daily. So check it out, you guys, because there's a lot in there that you guys could be finding out about what's going on. Autonomous is failing across the board. I mean, the fact that we talked about a few weeks ago, or about that a cone beats an autonomous, put a cone down and the autonomous can't move. Rideshare Professor put out a video yesterday where the Cruise autonomous went into an area that had wet cement and sunk in. So it's now now they have to go tear up the street to get the Cruise out. The fire department, the police department, the mayor of San Francisco, all of these people want these vehicles gone. This was a deal made by Governor Newsom. It was not a deal made by the city of San Francisco. And the city of San Francisco has had it. They are done with these things. And now there's sex going on in the back of them too, which a long time ago, like last December, I said, one of the biggest problems is going to be who's going to clean these things after each thing, because people are going to have sex in them. They're going to do drugs in them. And then what? Then the next day you and your kid are going to be needing one, and you call for it and it comes and it's just disgusting and stinks. I mean, there is nobody to clean them in between rides, but people are having sex in these now, and it's becoming a thing. So, I guess my thing is, look, we're in a weird thing. If we want full autonomy, or if we want to have full autonomous vehicles, which we're not at a point to do it, but it needs to be 100% autonomous or 0% autonomous, because you can't have human drivers in the mix. Insurance won't even cover it. They're running into all kinds of nightmares on who is legally responsible for these cars. Um, and, again, just like Uber, like we've said, Waymo, Cruise, all these companies, they just do the same thing. They throw briefcases of money at cities and try and ask them if they can come test their non-working autonomous vehicles live in a city where people are walking around and living. What happens when somebody gets killed? We've already seen what's been going on with all this stuff. And the next city that they're targeting very hard right now, you guys can go look it up. You can find it on ridesharerodeo.com, is Charlotte, North Carolina. I don't think Charlotte was going to be very psyched on having this there. And the last thing I wanted to touch on today. So I know this has been a story for a while, but I've been reading some really interesting stories on this. So if you're not familiar, on Google Maps, there's a few groups that do this, and you guys can find them. And again, ridesharerodeo.com, you can go find the article on this one. I think it was from yesterday. So it would have been the 18th of August. Go look at that and you'll find it. Maybe it was the 17th. But gig workers are making the homes of tip baiters and putting them on Google Maps. Now, there was one very interesting article where the lady said that, okay, if somebody tip baits me, I mark it to myself on a private Google map. But as soon as I see that somebody else had a problem with it, I make it public everywhere. And it's that kind of stuff. I mean, you guys, it's I'm laughing, but it's borderline. This is a security issue too. Look, I think tip baiting is wrong, but I think it's the company's responsibility to take care of that. Like, once you make a tip, unless you call in and say why you need to retract it, you can't, because this is really sketchy to be putting people's addresses out there and marking people's homes as tip baiters. I just think that could be a very big problem, and we need to be more careful about security. But that said, that's 13 minutes of news in just under 13 minutes. See you back here next week. Peace.